Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Bleav in San Diego Baseball, the podcast. We're back this week, myself, Alex Miniak, alongside the three-time All-Star. His name is Heath Bell. Heath, we had a great weekend at Petco Park. We'll get to that soon. We're going to talk about my wedding because it was my first anniversary. I got to celebrate not only the wedding, but the anniversary at Petco Park. And then we're going to talk about some of your experiences, or at least give a little tease to our next episode where we can dig into that a little further as well. But again, going back, I want to talk about this Red Sox series. This series felt like October in so many ways. Padres take 2 out of 3. The Sox, as we remember, were hot coming in. There were teams with identical records, almost. I mean, like a half-game difference. Sox had won 7 out of 8 coming in, and they looked really like every bit a playoff team when we saw them at Petco Park. Friday night was kind of one you can throw away. Not much good came out of that game. Pivetta was admittedly a little nervous. He was a little amped up. It showed, but man, Saturday night and Sunday, 2 very entertaining ball games. I'm going to start with Saturday. Michael King returns, hangs in there. He exits in the top of the third. It's a 1-1 game. Now, it gets interesting. Wandy Peralta comes in. He gives up a single, and then he catches Bregman in a rundown on the next play between third and home plate. On that play, Jarren Duran advances to third, and then Wandy is called on a balk. A lot of us were wondering what the heck happened there. From your perspective, did you know right away, or did it take some figuring out?
Yeah, I didn't see a balk. I mean, if you're gonna slow it down, you could probably say it's a balk. But I think the umpires were looking for something, or somebody. It might have been on the Red Sox side, said something, and the umpire just went, "Oh yeah." So I mean, that does happen once in a while. So from the naked eye, I didn't see anything right away. So it was kind of a BS call for me, I think.
Yeah, the thing that was going on, at least that I heard, was an attempt at the hidden ball trick. Machado still had the ball, and then Wandy had touched the rubber without the ball.
Yeah, but I didn't think he touched the rubber, and it just seemed like it seemed like he did everything correct in a hidden ball trick. It just yeah, and maybe he nicked the. It's hard to see on TV if he hit the rubber, but it didn't really look like he was just standing next to it, and maybe his toe hit it or something like that. But anyway,
for those that don't know, how does the hidden ball trick work?
the best hidden ball tricks are the infielder pretends, throws it back, and then within 2 to 5 seconds, the base runner steps off and they can tag him, where the pitcher doesn't really have to do anything. Pretends like catch it, turn around, walk a couple steps like you're not even looking at him, and you don't really have to act. When you start to have to act, tie your shoe, bend down, stretch, that's when things get a little crazy, and that's probably what happened.
Yeah, it looked on the replay like Machado was trying to catch Duran off the bag, and Duran had advanced and took a sidestep towards home plate. His foot came up a little bit, but he was a little too late with the tag. But by that point, Wandy had been called for the balk, and the runner was allowed to advance home.
I think the Red Sox coaches were paying attention, looking for something to say, hey, it's a balk, this and that. Because back in the day, it was you couldn't even be on the dirt. Forget about the rubber. It was don't even touch the dirt. So that's why it was like, maybe it's changed a little bit with the pitch clock and everything like that. But I don't know. I think the hidden ball trick, if it doesn't work in the first 5 seconds, the baseman should just give it back to the pitcher.
It was a run scored for the Red Sox, the result of that balk. It was really a back and forth kind of game. It ends up going to extra innings. Bottom of the 10th, Laureano allegedly misread the bunt sign and swings at a nice pitch, which he drives into left field, and we come around to score and win in a walk-off. I mean, that was great. It was the best misread of a signal if that ever happened.
It was bunt or get a base hit.
So series is tied 1-1 going into Sunday. Dylan Cease on the hill, and this is vintage Dylan Cease. Fastball up around 99. His slider, 11 swings and misses. Both those pitches were dialed in, and by far, he used those two the most. 7 Ks. His ERA is just over 3.12 since the All-Star break. Is Dylan Cease back?
I think, just the trade deadline's over. I'm not going to go anywhere. And also, I think he's not trying to strike guys out anymore. He's happy he's in San Diego for the rest of the year. I think there was just a lot of, stuff that you can't deal with, and you can't help not to think about it, always about trade talks, and you try to block it out and you can't. You do the best you can. But I think also Dylan Cease was trying to strike everybody out. And this team after the trade deadline and a little bit after the All-Star break, because they, the bottom of the lineup started hitting right after the All-Star break, right before the trade deadline. But when the team's scoring, you kind of feel like you can just throw all your pitches and you don't have to be super perfect. And when you're a strikeout pitcher and the team's not scoring, you feel like you have to put a shutout and you have to strike people out, because if they hit the ball, they're going to get a hit, or there's going to be an error somewhere, this and that. Not saying he thinks the Padres defense was bad, but just thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't give up a run. Now it's, okay, if I give a run, it's not a big deal. So I feel like Dylan Cease is not trying too hard, or in ways not trying to strike everybody out, and just going out there and trying to execute his pitches and throw all of his pitches and not try to get swing and misses all the time. And guess what? You're going to get swing and misses because you got that good of stuff, and you're a strikeout pitcher, and you're going to do great. And I think it's kind of calmed down after the All-Star break, and he's just kind of like eased into what the Dylan Cease that we all know, and he can be a number one starter. So I just think, the first half was probably a lot of emotional stuff, and second half, he's going to be the Dylan Cease that we all know.
I loved it. I loved what I saw, and I loved what I saw out of the bullpen, too. We got in a little trouble in the 7th inning.
Well, the bullpen did great on Saturday. It kind of helped King out a little bit since, he's up there in pitches. And then did a great job on Sunday, too, day game. Really helped the team get out of some jams, this and that. And, hey, come out with 2 wins. It's always good to win the series.
Absolutely. And Alex Cora said that is the best bullpen in the big leagues, period. That is a direct quote from the Red Sox manager.
Well, the Padres have a really good bullpen, and I feel like the Padres in the past and, history-wise, they use the whole bullpen. They just don't rely on 2 or 3 guys. I mean, even when, you have your main three guys, maybe 4 guys, but you use the other guys in other situations. You just don't use them like, okay, well, he's my mop-up guy, so he's never going to pitch unless it's a blowout or this and that. It's like, hey, extra innings, we got to use him. He's just as good as everybody else. And I think it builds confidence in the guys in the bullpen, where if the manager says, hey, you had a bad game, don't worry about it, I'm going to get you back in there today or tomorrow. And he puts him back in there the next day, maybe, or the day after that, but he faces the same guys and is like, don't worry about it, I'm going to keep going out there. Bud Black told me it was something like I gave up 5 runs with the Mets, and I had 35 games with the Mets the previous year. And I had 5 games I gave up runs, 30 games I didn't know about this until he told me. And he's like, you could double that and be in my bullpen any time of the year. And I literally went, I can give up runs 10 times? And he goes, well, if you have 60 times, you don't give up runs. So when I was the Mets, it was almost like you give up a run, what's going on? What's wrong? So, and sometimes you have coaches that are like that. If you give up a run, it's like, it's not just like, hey, you had a bad night. It's more like, okay, what's going wrong? What are you not doing right? And it's like, hey, nobody's perfect. I mean, even Greg Maddux, Hall of Famer, or, name another Hall of Famer, or Jake Peavy, one of the best Padre pitchers out there. He can't be perfect every time. So it does happen. And, I think the Padres coaching staff and organization understands that.
Yeah, love what I see so far. And we're heading into a crucial couple weeks here. Dodgers and Giants. Twice in 2 weeks, we got to see him. Yeah. We're going to be talking a lot more about that here in tonight's episode, and also going into the weekend as well. And you know what? That's a good segue, because if you want to learn more about what our thoughts are in regards to these Giants and Dodgers games coming up, you can also follow us on Bleav in San Diego Baseball. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're also on Spotify and iHeartRadio as well. So open the apps, click that follow button, and you definitely won't miss a thing. Big series at Petco Park this weekend, and also, a big series for me too, or a big weekend for me, because it was my first wedding anniversary, and I got to celebrate my first anniversary with my wife at Petco Park. A lot of people don't know this, but I got married at Petco Park 1 year ago. Kind of cool. We don't do a lot of weddings at Petco Park. There's a lot of proposals and things like that happen around the ballpark, messages on the big screen. But actual weddings, I think we were the third in the 20-year plus history of the park. And, people are like, well, how did you get married at Petco Park? And, when we looked at wedding venues, we wanted something that was distinctly us. My wife is born and raised San Diego. Petco Park brought me to San Diego. And my wife's family has a sailing history throughout the generations. Her grandfather, Jerry Driscoll, is actually in the Breitbart Hall of Fame, which is housed in Petco Park, so he has a plaque. And we kept looking at other venues and going around, and we kept coming back to Petco Park because Petco Park brought me to San Diego, the family history, which is really cool. And if you don't know about Jerry Driscoll, Jerry is in the Breitbart Hall of Champions at Petco Park. He competed in the defense of 4 America's Cup races, and he organized 2 others as well. He changed the way training was done for the America's Cup, training year-round. And, he really just raised the profile of America's Cup sailing and the competition on the West Coast in general. So with all these connections, we figure, why not have a wedding at Petco Park? So my father, big baseball fan, watches every Padres game back in Florida. He is a pastor, so naturally he gets to do our wedding. We had it on the third base concourse overlooking the field. The cocktail hour had Bobby Cressy, our organist, playing piano music. We had a saxophonist. When we had our first kiss at the altar, I had the Friar ring the bell. The Friar was there to take...
Yes, bring it.
Bring it. Yeah, that's right. Best ring that anybody's ever done on the bell, in my opinion. We had local San Diego beers. I had baseball cards of 20 years of players on all the cocktail tables. Maybe you were in a stack, Heath. In fact, I had 1982 to about 2008, so I'm thinking you might have been in there somewhere. It's possible. There was a Heath Bell card. Anyway, all those cards were taken home, so somebody's got a Heath Bell card somewhere from my wedding. We had the reception in the Hall of Champions. Hodad's catered it. We took pics all over the ballpark. We went up to the rooftop. We were in the dugout. We did the grand staircase at home plate. We were in the press box. We took a picture of my microphone. It was just very cool, and it was a very different way to do a wedding. And what was neat is we had a huge series, of course, Red Sox, and be able to celebrate. We went down and had Hodad's again. She was at the game on Saturday night, and we went to the spot and reenacted our first kiss and the vows and everything from where we did it on the third base concourse. So just a lot of fun and a real special way to cap off what was a great series win.
So, what'd you think about doing it at the stadium?
I loved it, and every guest loved it as well. I think I grew up in Florida. Basically, my adulthood started in New Hampshire when I was living up there. I made a lot of friends up there, and I come out here. So I have 3 corners of the country that are really my life, and this is the first time I get to have everybody in the same room together. And a lot of these people had never been to Petco Park. Like, they knew my story.
You have 40,000 seats.
Yeah, and we filled it with 80 people. But look, I couldn't pay for that many people, that's for sure. 40,000's a lot to cater for.
Well, have you heard what people are doing nowadays?
No.
They're charging tickets for their weddings so they don't have to be in debt. And you can have tickets just to be for dinner. You can have tickets to do the wedding ceremony and reception, or you can have tickets to do alcohol and all that.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I think it's kind of smart in a way.
Yeah.
Maybe the mom, dad, grandma, they get free tickets. but the rest of the family, hey, and I've heard that the tickets are only like $10-15.
Yeah, if there was a game going on or a concert or something like that, the Foo Fighters actually played the night before.
Uh,
I asked if they could stay and be our wedding band. They couldn't. Dave, what are you doing? You want to stick around, play the wedding? Then I could see charging something like that, but nobody's going to pay anything to see me. I have to wrangle you to come host a podcast with me.
I'm just saying, that's what kids are doing nowadays.
I'll pay you in a roast beef sandwich when you come back
There you go. Paying
to
food.
San Diego. But I think you got to have a big draw if you do something like that. But really a special weekend, and I was glad to be able to share that moment and relive that moment at Petco Park during a huge series. When we come back, we've got to take a break here in Bleav in San Diego baseball. But when we come back, we've got a fan poll for you as we get into these Giants and Dodgers series here over the next couple weeks. So, interesting question, little alternate universe, minds twisting, bending sort of thing. Heath, I can't wait to hear your response to this. We'll do it next on Bleav in San Diego baseball. Welcome back to Bleav in San Diego baseball. My name is Alex Miniak alongside the three-time All-Star. His name is Heath Bell. Heath, again, we're heading into a crucial couple weeks here in the season. We've got Dodgers on the radar. We've got Giants on the radar. Of course, two of our fiercest rivals in the division. My question to you, and this is one I pose as a fan poll this week on BleavinSD.com, BleavinSD.com, is in an alternate universe, if neither the Dodgers or the Giants made the move from New York in 1958, who would be the Padres' rival if neither of those teams made the move? I've got four options up there. The Astros, who would have been the westernmost NL team until the Padres arrived in 1969. The Braves, who's a team that's no stranger to moving, going from Boston to Milwaukee to Atlanta. The Expos / Nats, again, a team no stranger to moving. They were expansion mates in 1969. Or the Diamondbacks, let's say the Diamondbacks came in the 77 expansion a little earlier because we needed another Western team. So out of those four, who do you think would be our primary rival? Or do you have a Twilight Zone spin of your own you'd like to throw in?
Well, personally, I think it's one of those teams that probably wouldn't have a rival. I mean, the rival just started when the Subway Series got really big, but here's the other part. If the Dodgers and Giants never came, then the Mets would never be a team, or the Mets would have to be somewhere, and there might be another team in, the Mets might be in L.A. or, somewhere else, because L.A. probably would have got a team. Technically, when the Padres came out, it probably would have been the Astros. But, I mean, when I was playing, they said the rivals was Seattle because we have spring training with them. I'm like, ooh, we play them 3 times a year. What a rival.
Well, we have a Vetter Cup now, so now it's for real.
Traditionally, it would probably have to be the Astros because the Astros a lot of people probably don't realize they used to be a National League team. Yeah, I think we kind of be like the Seattle Mariners, just that team that's way out there that's just kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have a rival and is just there. I mean, unfortunately, and I think that's another reason why, Major League Baseball tried to have Seattle and us rival, because they're the farthest northwest and we're the farthest southwest, and there you go.
Yeah, I mean, that one's kind of funky. Everybody needed a dance partner, so that's kind of how our dance card.
But yeah, I just think we really wouldn't have a rival. It'd be just something. We'd be that little brother that nobody really talks about, but is pretty good.
And I think to your point, if LA and San Francisco stayed in New York, I think expansion's certainly a possibility. And I think maybe a PCL team like the Seals in San Francisco would have moved up to fill that void, like the Padres became a major league team from a PCL team. So that's totally possible too. There's 1,000 different ways to look at it. But it is interesting to think about. I always love to think about how things would work out in an alternate universe. And it is interesting to think. I think Arizona could also have been a possibility. Phoenix was a major league sports town with the Suns for many years before getting baseball, before getting hockey, before losing hockey. and getting a football team, and even the Cardinals moved in 1987 from St. Louis to Arizona. So Phoenix was prime for a long time. So that may have happened earlier in an alternate universe. You don't know.
Here's an alternate universe: the Padres would be moved from San Diego to somewhere.
Washington. That almost happened. They printed baseball cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when Ray Kroc came in and bought the team. So, again, that's another alternate universe, and now my head is starting to spin. Let's get back to reality. Heath, I want to know, in our next episode, some of your favorite stories from Dodger Stadium or from Oracle Park or Pac Bell Park or AT&T Park, whichever park you played under in San Francisco. I want to know some of those big league stories on the mound, and we're going to do that in our next episode on Thursday. So, for the 3-time All-Star Heath Bell, my name is Alex Miniak. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and find us at BleavInSD.com, BLEAVINSD.com. And we'll catch you next time on Bleav in San Diego Baseball.
See you next time.